problem. It was supposed to be a climbing day. 167 kilometres were on the cards, but that was very much curtailed as Konya, the venue for the second stage, stepped into the breach and provided a short stage of just 73 kilometres, destined to be one for the sprinters. So, a new looping course to be taken on, and indeed just one categorised climb, a modest one, on a highway of a Category 3. Would it attempt a breakaway? With all the sprinters' teams, of course, gunning to control the event. Would they be able to do so? That was the big question. In the end, after a couple of skirmishes, we had Ivar Zlik from the A Block team, and also joining him, Binyol Powells were up the road with Sean Deby. Sean Deby has had a modicum of success of late and finds himself in a position where he would have been the favourite of these two to hoover up the intermediate sprint points and maybe the mountains. With so many sprint names, the likes of Mark Cavendish, joined by Fabio Jakobsen, who's back on the bike for De Koning Quickstep, Israel's startup nation also here with Andy Greipel, and Alpecin Phoenix with Jasper Philipsen. It was a quality field, certainly, for the quick men. Well, the intermediate sprint, the first of which went the way of Sean Deby, just beating Ivan Zlik. They swapped duties for the King of the Mountains jersey. Only one climb today, and so those 3 points that came up for grabs, they kind of exchanged duties. It looks like Zlik being forgiven by Deby for challenging him on that first intermediate sprint. There was a Turkish beauty sprint to be had as well, so both of these riders would be guaranteed a place on the podium at the end of the day. Stage win, though, up for grabs for the sprinters, and naturally enough, the leader's jersey therein. And good lead-in approach work from De Koning Quickstep. He knew that Mark Cavendish was certainly up for it. Uno X Pro Cycling, however, looked to be in dominant form, wearing their familiar mustard and scarlet. The Nordic team were really on their mettle. In fact, they were bossing it on either side of the road, and when it came to a crucial approach with the Flamme Rouge looming, and after that, two turns that came in very, very quick succession at 500 metres and 350 metres from the line, you had to be at the front. Well, they were there along with Rally Cycling, resplendent in their bright orange, and it was the place to be. A double balk within the pack meant that many of the sprinters got themselves out of position, Mark Cavendish included, so he was in retrieval mode as the meters started to ebb away. Who would it be at the line? That was the big question. Christopher Olversen had really had the ultimate lead out, but on his case was Arvid Decline of Rally Cycling, and at the line, it was Decline. Well, it took a while to separate them with the photo finish, but we have a race leader, and it is from Rally Healthcare Cycling that got there at the right moment. All about timing, I guess you might say. Mark Cavendish finishing behind Barbier of Delco, Philipsen and Greipel in Cavendish's wake. We sprint again on stage 2, staying in Konya, so not that far to travel. This man, well, travelling to the sky. Decline in heaven. He leads this race by a margin of 4 seconds now, with the bonus seconds at the line factored in. Halverson 4 in arrears, Barbier 6 seconds down. Deby, who picked up those bonus seconds out on the course, also ran. Konya had been our venue for stage 1, replacing a snowed-off mountain stage. The first loop was 73 kilometres. Today, 143 had to be taken on, and 8 breakaway riders decided to get themselves involved. Just one from a World Tour team, that was Zakharov from Astana Premier Tech. He had sprint points in mind, but there were mountain points up for grabs as well, and Vitaly Butz has found himself in the King of the Mountains jersey as we will start stage 3. He got himself busy on the Category 2 and Category 3 test that characterised the opening part of the race. Second half was very much familiar, with 2 sprints along the way though, bonus seconds up for grabs, and one of which a beauty sprint, which of course garnered its own jersey. Well, a man determined to visit the podium from an Astana team that, well, they're regulars here in Turkey. Zakharov, taking the first of the intermediates, and would then take the beauty sprint with just 17.5 kilometres to go. Well, the teams were getting themselves into colour order, and the pace of the day entirely different to the opener. Little sense of urgency, perhaps. Everyone wanted to be at the front in those double turn, a double left-hander at the very end. Sketchy it would certainly be. It was on the first day and counted for a few errors along the way. Alvin Klein had won stage 1. Would he be up there at the end? Up there for that beauty sprint was, of course, Zakharov yet again. So teams were about to present themselves to the closing kilometres, and that double turn was looming large in everybody's mind. Ion Kometa working hard for Belletti. Modata with B&B Hotels were also in the frame. Coming up the centre, Buglas, Salko, Sakera. But on that double turn, it was Jasper Philipsen that found himself out in the lead and waiting to be dropped off to perfection. Andre Greipel was also very much in the frame, with Mark Cavendish shadowing him. Greipel looked strong, Cavendish knew that, and when Philipsen got the release, Greipel shot into the gap. Cavendish, though, was about to round his old HTC teammate. Came round the right of him, it opened up centre, and Cavendish speared through to take his first win since 2018. A cathartic moment for Cav, and indeed all cycling fans, I'm sure. The congratulations rained in. First to give him a hug, Fabio Jakobsen. It was a wonderful piece of work by Mark Cavendish. Round Greipel, and then just taking a few moments on the back wheel of Philipsen, using the aero to sling on the inside and then drive it to the line to win by almost half a bike length. Mark Cavendish is back, and he's in the lead of this race. A wonderful moment for us all. Mark Cavendish in winning ways is good for cycling, full stop. There was the day's podium. Great names, great sprinters, and heading them all was Mark Cavendish. Greipel in third place behind Philipsen. There's your general classification. Same time between Decline and Mark Cavendish, but it is Cav that pulls on the turquoise jersey. Great race, and another great day as we head down to Alanya. Can Cav do it again? Let's see. Cavendish's long-awaited win. He finally got that, and we moved on to stage 3 of the Presidential Tour of Turkey. Starting inland with a long run along the plateau, a couple of climbs along the way, 2 intermediate sprints to be contended with before reaching the harbour side at Alanya. Temperatures at the beginning of the day around about 8 Celsius, but rising to 19 and 20 on the coast. A very different feel from now on in this race. But a venue for holidaymakers. It very much felt like a party atmosphere today. 4 riders decided to take it on. Primary amongst them, Aika Balarin of Euskadel Euskadi. In fact, he took the first of the day's intermediate sprints. Eventually, we had 4 riders that went on to try and form a breakaway. They did so for much of the day. Umberto Poli of Team Novo Nordisk, Castillo, the Mexican champion from Wildlife Generation, and Venturuti of Androni Giacottoli. He was looking for mountains points and indeed found them on 2 occasions today, taking both of the day's climbs ahead of Castillo, the Mexican. Venturuti then, with the first category 3 test, garnering 3 points, and then 5 came his way on the second final of the day's climbs. No time to take it easy. The peloton were in colour order rather early, and with 60 kilometres to go, there was a danger that the breakaway may be caught. They held on for the final intermediate sprint, the Turkish beauty sprint. Not much beauty around here on this open highway, but it'll become more of a feature and living up to its name, this particular competition, the deeper we get into the race with the Roman edifice that will surely grace some of those sprint points. Well, it was Venturuti adding yet more prize money to his fund, having taken 2 climbs. He took that final sprint, but really it was the big one we were waiting for, and after Mark Cavendish had done a job yesterday, we felt that Jesper Philipsen would surely start as favourite. Andre Greipel, with the best lead-out train here with Israel Startup Nation, was determined to get himself into the right place at the right time. Handshakes all round for the breakaway as they moved to the right-hand side of the road. Across tailwind, it would be at the very last. The most protected side of the road would be on the left-hand side, and that was favoured by our 3 favourites, Cavendish, Greipel and Philipsen. Well, as expected, Israel Startup Nation it was that set the approach pace. A long line of talent to lead Andre Greipel potentially to a superb drop-off point. Jesper Philipsen ran out of teammates and found himself just boxed in ever so slightly on Greipel's wheel. Behind him, Mark Cavendish wearing the leader's blue jersey. Cavendish popped out, locked Philipsen in and essentially threw away the key. And then Mark Cavendish just opened it up, centre of proceedings, centre stage yet again, and doubled up his tally. Wonderful result for Mark Cavendish. 2 days in a row, and he could not have looked happier. Underscoring his greatness from yesterday, Jesper Philipsen fast finishing, but having been locked in, bad position, cost him dear. Maybe he'll take it tomorrow into Khmer, we shall see. Cavendish finishing ahead of Philipsen, Polish champion Anelkowski and Alverson, with Andre Greipel rounding out the top 5. Hugs all round, nobody could deny Mark Cavendish that. Well, it was a long gap, wasn't it, from 2018 until yesterday when he won, and all of a sudden he doubles up the tally. Great to see. Mark Cavendish then leads this race by an enhanced margin, courtesy of the bonus seconds factored in. He has an 8-second advantage over Philipsen. The high ground will mean that these time gaps mean very little, but Mark Cavendish will lead again as we head towards Khmer. Another sprinting day in the offing. Couple of lumps and bumps, but it should be for the fast men, and it will be amazing.